Hi, everyone. Welcome to another podcast with FitFam. We have Miss Olympia, natural Miss Olympia here, Hillary Grant.
And we have the formulator, Douglas Grant.
We're so excited today. We're actually going to have a few notes today because we wanted to get our statistics right. This is a subject that's near and dear to us, and it started off with just reading an article about the importance of understanding the pharmacy in your mind. And so we're going to kind of get into that a bit. So this is really on the focus, intense thought part of our acronym.
Sure.
And so let's kind of go to the acronym really quick for people if this is our first episode.
Okay, so we'll do that. But first and foremost, I'm in a mood today. So I'm going to try to keep it in check. Was it last week that we talked about mindset and how sometimes you got to re-scramble things?
Shake it up.
Shake it up. So if you see me start doing some jumping jacks or screaming all of a sudden, it's because I'm trying to shake it up and get back where I need to be.
Perfect.
Okay. So focused intense thought is the FIT of fitness. It's all about the mindset.
And N is nutrition.
E is exercise.
And then S&S is specific supplementation. And today we're going to really be more on that focused intense thought, although we'll bring a few of the other factors involved with fitness. So what we're going to be talking about today has a lot to do with the epidemic that's going on in the nation as far as prescriptions is concerned. And we don't mean to offend anyone that needs to be on a prescription.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think we really need to point out the fact that we both realize that there are specific conditions and, ailments that people are dealing with on a daily basis where prescriptions are a must. They are part of their lifestyle. And hopefully, as they're taking those prescriptions, they're also, really digging into the health side of life so that they can counteract any type of, side effects that come with it. But we 100% know that there are prescriptions that people need to be on. This is more about those prescriptions that are not needed.
Boom, exactly. So let's go over a few stats real quick. There are over 4 billion prescriptions. That's crazy. 4 billion prescriptions dispensed every year in just the United States alone. Now that's a huge statistic. Think about that, 4 billion.
That is crazy. And some of these statistics I'm just now reading. I'm going to be kind of following along with everybody else. This is Doug's baby. This podcast is more Doug's baby. But the number of U.S. adults who report taking at least one prescription medication per day is now 70%. It's 14% increase from 2019.
That's just mind-boggling.
Mind-blowing. That's crazy.
Yeah, so
70%. Take a daily prescription.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
That is absolutely mind-boggling. And what's interesting is the huge jump since 2019, COVID, right?
Right.
And just that increase. So without getting into the
That's
details
big.
of the why, but it's huge since then. That's just a straight up stat, right?
Absolutely.
And here's what's interesting, though, is that means at least 70%, right? 7 out of 10 people are taking a prescription. But within the same data, and this comes from Civic Science Data Report, if you want to fact check it a little bit, is that, because I was blown away by this one, is that the percentage of people taking 4 or more medications daily has increased almost to 25%, so 24%, so 25%. So think about this. 1 in 4 people take at least 4 or more medications a day.
Wow.
Mind blown.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is crazy.
So, you think, hey, look, if it's needed, great, right? What are we complaining about or arguing about or talking about if it's truly needed? But we're going to get to that. Mm-hmm. But the cost of that, the cost of the medications, the cost of the prescriptions, just from the errors, okay, think about it for a second. So prescriptions that were made and there was an error made, right? The wrong prescription, error made. And we're talking about the wrong prescription, the wrong dosing, and maybe it was just a matter of major side effects that weren't looked at as far as their history and that. But over $40 billion each year and over 7 million patients affected. And that's from, guess who? CDC. So Center Disease Control tells us this. And it's very important to understand. We're talking about something that really affects not just personal health, but the economy and everything that goes along with it.
Absolutely. The other thing that's from the CDC is that 1 out of every 3 prescriptions are unnecessary. They're not necessary.
Yeah. Like I could just keep doing
That's crazy.
mind-blowing emojis right now. So
We probably will.
1 out of 3
Prescriptions
are not necessary. So that means it was either wrongly prescribed or people asked for it when they really didn't need it. We know that happens a lot,
Right.
with some of
and
opioids and stuff.
Well, think about it. Some of the times that you feel like you need to go to your doctor, let's keep it simple. Let's keep it really simple.
Yeah.
You have a cold or some type of ailment that's just kind of maybe seasonal, or you've caught a bug, and they stick you on an antibiotic, right?
Right.
But it's a virus. It's not a bacterial infection.
So it should never been given
So it never should have
antibiotic.
been
Right?
given.
Antibiotic is to be able to. It's against life. Anti is against biotic. Life against life for bacteria, and it doesn't do anything for virus. It can sometimes make it worse, as we know from the research. But that's a great
So
point.
there's just an easy one.
Yeah, and because people go to the doctor and they don't want to leave without something. And I've had, since one of the main things we do is train doctors around the nation in how to be holistic, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've been told by doctors that they actually have this mental concern because they've looked back at their career and said, you know what, many times people come in and they just wouldn't leave unless I give them something. So I give them an antibiotic. And there really wasn't a need, but literally people throwing fits and having issues because I was sick, I want something. I want some drug to fix it.
Yeah, for sure.
And the thing is
that oftentimes they just want to feel better, right?
Yeah, it's not something wrong. They just want to feel better.
Well, and also it's easy to look at somebody that goes to a doctor and is like furious that they're not getting something and be like, what is wrong with that person? But it's not. They're in pain and they just want to feel better. So it's this strange cycle, right?
It is. And it also comes back to this immediate desire, like we want things right now type thing,
right.
Fast-paced lifestyle. Yeah. But so why are 1 in 3, of these prescriptions not needed? Why are they not needed according to the CDC? Well, it's because most conditions come down to a lifestyle problem, something in our acronym of fitness, right? A problem with the mindset, with the nutrition, with the exercise, with the supplements,
some type of deficiency.
Some type of deficiency. And so since the majority of problems come from a lifestyle deficiency or excess, right? Then really that's what we should look to as the answer. And that makes it easy to understand why 1 in 3 prescriptions really aren't the right ones or aren't needed, is because what's needed most of the time is fitness.
Absolutely.
And so I know that there's times that we talked about with that you want to get out of pain, you want to get things fixed, but there's a lot of times that people go to the doctor when there's a chronic ailment, something that's been going on for a long time, aches and pains, whatever it might be, that really reoccurring, and that lifestyle will actually be the thing that should do and to fix it. So it's a great way to look at it. So most people, that including the thousands of doctors that we train every year, and that think that we're against pharmacies, and you think we probably are really against pharmacies right now and prescriptions based on all these statistics, but we actually love one pharmacy. And it's probably the most powerful pharmacy in the whole world. She loves it. No, it's so true though.
Okay.
Because if you really, really think about it, there is a pharmacy more powerful than all the pharmacies and just being dispensed out around the world today. And if you can really grasp that, how corny it might sound, it really can make a profound difference.
So we're talking about a pharmacy in the ways that healing, right?
Healing, or just dispensing of drugs.
Okay.
Chemicals, right? And so we go to the pharmacy and we get a drug, right? Because that drug has a certain function in the body. But there's a pharmacy, and it's in your brain, that actually produces extremely powerful drugs.
Chemicals. Okay.
That can help you tremendously in your body.
So you are talking about the pharmacy in your head.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay.
And it has a specific name.
Okay.
Do you know what it is?
Hypothalamus?
Boom, hypothalamus. So hypothalamus sits right above the brain stem, and this is a little part of the brain that's phenomenal. Its job, just to keep it simple, okay?
Okay, keep it simple. No, keep it simple. Keep it simple for me, Dad.
Is to produce all the chemicals for the endocrine system.
Okay.
So the hormone system in the body. And so you think about it, I'm talking about the the podcast today. You come in, you say, I'm not quite there, right? That's a chemical that's going on.
I was not here.
Yeah,
It wasn't not quite.
But that's something that if another chemical from your pharmacy from the hypothalamus would give you a shot of dopamine or something like that, you'd be like, man, I'm right there, ready to roll.
For sure.
And so that's what we're talking about. And, your brain has different regions and that, but we're talking, keeping it simple today, hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus produces certain chemicals. And we're going to talk about some of them. And just to kind of help you understand how it's kind of cool how you can call on your own natural pharmacy with just two things. One is different thoughts, and different thoughts will release different prescriptions, chemicals. And then also the foods that you eat.
Okay.
I guess exercise, about that big time for one of them too. So why don't we go ahead and start into that. And the hypothalamus is also called the master switchboard in the body. So it just allows you to switch from being here, being excited and not, and or from not being excited to be here. And so let's jump into a few of the chemicals.
Okay, I'm sold so far.
Oh yeah?
You have me at least for a minute.
Okay. So let's talk about one of them, dopamine. So dopamine is secreted from the hypothalamus, right? Mm-hmm. And that's one that everyone's familiar with.
Yeah, that's a feel-good one.
A feel-good one, right? It's our reward, our pleasure, right? Yeah. Dopamine. Mm-hmm. What are some of the other things that dopamine does for us?
It's your positive, right?
Yep.
Happy,
positive mental attitude. And so how do we get this pharmacy in our brain to release it? And it's actually, this is kind of cool because it's super simple of what you need to do. And for those of you who are busy in the home or busy at work or the kids and just life itself, it's just a matter of kind of resetting. Some of the things that we can do to release dopamine are what?
Okay, so some foods that help boost dopamine are apples, avocados, beets, and super dark chocolate. So is this because of the antioxidants in these foods or what?
Yeah, so both. The antioxidants is the main thing for dopamine, 100%. So as you're reading that, you're thinking of the different antioxidants, right? And the avocados, even dark chocolate, right? Mm-hmm. And those things. And antioxidants, remember, are nutrients that help fix they're called free radicals in the body, right? These molecules that have one extra electron that make them unstable, and it makes us unstable. And these antioxidants come in and balance these free radicals that oxidize our system, just much like rust or steel will oxidize or rust. And so they're really, really powerful. And some action items you can do too is actually just give service. Giving service increases dopamine. So a friend needs help. Quit thinking about
that's why so many people will tell you if you're feeling depressed or unmotivated and stuff. The first thing that health professionals will tell you is, step outside of yourself and go serve.
Absolutely,
because it gets you out of your own little funk.
It does, 100%. And even if you don't have someone to serve right away, do something that you can be proud of for the moment. I heard someone give a talk one time about maybe there's a book out about make your bed first thing. Right, you make your bed first thing, and there's all these factors with that. And Hillary's the master at it.
It helps
you're
me.
You're proud, right?
Yeah, and it's like, one thing is checked off my list, and then it kind of puts you in the mode of, okay, let's go, let's get after life today.
Right, and what is that? What creates that emotion is dopamine. So just do something good. Go on even a walk in nature, things like that, and look and say, man, what a awesome thing this world is. Just an appreciation.
Okay, a walk is such a great tool. And I don't think, especially living in Arizona, those Arizonians of us need to take more advantage of the fact that we have such beautiful weather and the ability to walk outside and breathe and reconnect with nature, because that's a gift. And not every state has it.
No, that's true.
I mean, all year round.
All year round. So we have to get up a little early in the summer. But
that's okay.
So we talked about the foods, right? Let's talk about some of the supplements that help with dopamine. One that's really not talked about a lot that's really critical is probiotics. And we're going to do a deep dive soon into this subject because it's critical. It's kind of one of the secrets that we use for weight loss.
Yeah, probiotic gut health. We'll do that later.
Yeah, but just for the purpose of this, your probiotics, your friendly bacteria in your gut, actually help with the majority of the ability for your brain to produce dopamine, for the hypothalamus to do dopamine and a lot of other chemicals. But just for dopamine, so you need to have your gut right. And that's why the acidic foods, the carbonations, the alcohols, the heavy red meats, the pork are so bad for dopamine production because they inhibit the gut from being able to do its job to help with that signal. So that's really cool.
I like it. So this says natural caffeine, huh?
Yeah, so natural caffeine helps with dopamine too. And sometimes, that's needed. And I think that the perfect world is that you don't have to have any form of a food or an herb that might have a little bit of energy in it, known as caffeine. But the truth is,
stimulant.
Yeah, some type of stimulant. But the truth is, there's times, but when you have those times, you really should reach to whole food versions of caffeine. And I think the most popular one is green tea. Green tea has some really powerful phytonutrients in it called EGCGs plus the natural caffeine. So that's really great. Some of the other ones, we lived in other countries like Brazil, would be like yerba mate, things like that, and that's popular. And so just think about caffeine. If it's made synthetically, it's just chemical. But if there's caffeine in foods, then it's surrounded.
Naturally occurring caffeine.
Naturally occurring. That's a really good point. It's that they're surrounded by antioxidants in that, and they make it so that they don't cause damage to the adrenal glands and that. They just give you that boost of energy. So those are some of them also that you want to look at. And then, probably one of the big things with dopamine is anytime there's a deficiency in the body, it can keep the body from being able to produce dopamine because it's easy to be like walking in here today. I'm just not feeling it. Well, really, nothing's really wrong.
Right.
But it might just be that day's a little extra stress or didn't sleep as well, didn't maybe have different foods that have the B vitamins in them the previous day enough, whatever it might be, just little teeny deficiencies.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that is find out your deficiencies needs, get blood work done, and then take your supplements based off your blood work, right? And we're really big on that. And you can call with Jess and find out about it.
Okay, you want to know something funny? Yeah. I was not consistent with my vitamins yesterday. Oops. And it's the first day in a really long time. I don't know what was going on, but...
I'll make sure we load you.
Okay.
So, anyways, there's different places you can go. Ours is called Nutrients RX. You can call Optimal Health Systems for blood work and the supplements. But the key is to get it done, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go to the next one.
Oxytocin?
Oxytocin. Yeah. So oxytocin, it's a hormone released during social interactions, kind of known as the love hormone, right? that brings in that mood, that pleasure, and it allows you to be what's interesting about it is it allows you to be more present. And I'm kind of big on that, right?
Yeah. So, you don't have to say it again.
Okay. So the healthier presence, the more you're present. Yep. Whoop. But it helps you to be more present. And that really is the key that I think has a lot to do with social interaction that allows people to feel love, be in the mood, if you would. And so it's a really, really great thing. The thing about oxytocin kind of goes back, it's interesting, it kind of comes back a little bit to the dopamine thing too. Being thoughtful, you're more outgoing to others when you have oxytocin.
I like that.
So it's important to have oxytocin, not just for the intimacy side of it, but just to be present, be thoughtful.
Well, yeah, and the present thing is so big because how often are you talking to somebody and you're talking at them, but they're not absorbing. There's not a connection, and there's nothing worse than when you're speaking to somebody and there's no connection, right? You just feel like you're talking to a wall or they're trying to get through the conversation. So they're like, oh, what can I say to get over?
Right, and that happens a lot in relationships. That happens with us a lot, right? Like I'm like, okay. But the second we can connect and then we feel that again and the body will help by having the ability to make oxytocin. So best foods.
The best foods for the love hormone. Fatty fish, mushrooms, peppers, and avocados. Dang, we just need to eat avocados every day.
Every day. And really, honestly, an avocado a day is really a great way to go, especially to help balance hormones, provide the nutrients to be able to make the chemicals. Remember, all hormones are created from fatty acids, and avocados have great fatty acids in them. It's a healthy fat. From the vitamin standpoint, the one that's not talked about the most for this one is actually vitamin D. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, back to the fats. But vitamin D deficiency has been shown to make so the body has an extremely hard time creating oxytocin. And so that's why vitamin D, when it's deficient, it really can create depression. And a lot of people are depressed and have a hard time getting going. They say, something's wrong with me. It's just vitamin D deficiency.
Vitamin D. Yeah, and we see that a lot, which is crazy. Yeah,
especially since 2019.
Yeah, because people weren't out in the sun as much.
Yep, and there's a certain virus running around that actually
COVID.
That uses a lot of vitamin D. People have high vitamin Ds didn't have as bad of effects, so we know that it eats it up. We need to really keep those up. But let's stay on this one just for a minute.
Okay.
Okay, because, talking about getting in the mood, different things like that. We get a lot of people, usually private emails, DMs, messages. Or they're in our office and we're going through blood work and different
There's
things.
oftentimes that Doug's reviewing blood work that I choose to just step out of it.
And they're like, what other thing? They'll either say this or they'll say they have a friend. You know what do you do if there's, issues, sexually or intimately? Is there some type of deficiency? And so it's this thing that almost everyone
Deals with it. Yeah.
At one time or another, no
For
matter
sure.
your age.
For sure.
But it's not talked about a lot. And so let's talk about it for a second. And we'll still keep it FitFam, right? G-rated and all that. But we need
PG.
we need to look at the nutrients and the foods that help. That can help just not with oxytocin, but to help be able to provide the ability for the body to get in the mood, to be able to perform and to have that drive. And one of the main things in the bedroom.
Okay.
And so I think we can have a whole separate podcast if people say they want to hear more about this, but just like a main point, right, for today, so we can stay on track, is that there is this chemical called nitric oxide. And it's interesting because this is a chemical that really comes in our world with the doctors,
Right.
and then it comes way into your world with the athletes
Absolutely.
and pro athletes, so we can discuss it. Nitric oxide is a chemical that is created in your body and in the bloodstream, and its job is to stimulate the bloodstream walls. Okay, blood flow. And in your bloodstream, you have the walls, right, of the blood of your veins through your whole body. You just take a look at your blood vessels, right? And the inner wall of that is made with something called endothelium. I know it's a big long word. I don't want to get too deep, but it has this layer. And nitric oxide stimulates that endothelium, and it makes it so that the blood vessel can expand and contract. And so the number one most attributable risk factor, I'll talk about the doctor side and you talk about the athlete side. The number one most attributable risk factor for disease is blood pressure. So we have high blood pressure, high blood pressure, high blood pressure. What can we do?
And wouldn't you say that the majority of like these prescriptions, people on prescriptions, has got to have to do with blood pressure medication?
Yeah, or side effects from high blood pressure. Yeah, It's a great point. And so what happens is that if you don't have nitric oxide, your body's not making that chemical. It's not allowing the walls, right, of your blood vessels to expand, right? And so when your heart beats and there's pressure, the blood going through, the blood pressure goes up because the vessels can't expand. So now what do? So we have to help the body create more nitric oxide, or else your blood pressure is going to keep going up. That causes death. That causes a lot of issues in life.
Yeah.
Right? And so we want to be able to help people increase nitric oxide from the doctor, health professional standpoint, to help just with blood pressure. But it's interesting on the athlete side, pre-workout and all that. Why do you take things to boost nitric oxide?
Well, we also want, we love the vein poppage, of course.
Vascularity.
That's nice. But also to help deliver nutrients where they need to go.
That's huge. And so before workouts, most pre-workouts have something to boost nitric oxide, right? And so I'm a big fan of taking nitric oxide boosting nutrients or foods before workouts. So not just pro athletes, but the rest of us just trying to stay in shape. And you want to feel good while you're in the gym. You want that blood flow. You want the body to be able to produce more dopamine and oxytocin and those things. We want to increase nitric oxide, right? So I hope we understand the importance of nitric oxide. In fact, hope some of your competitors aren't listening, but so the biggest thing to do
I hope they are.
right before stage. Because when athletes, like bodybuilders, take it right before stage, it helps to get more vascular, right? And so that's really important. So let's talk really quick about what you can do to boost nitric oxide. And one last thing is why this is important. So I really want you to listen and start putting more nitric oxide increasing foods and nutrients into your lifestyle. If you do nothing else from this today, increase your nitric oxide nutrients.
Wow,
But here's also why when we're talking about the bedroom and intimacy.
Okay.
Some people might be familiar with something called Viagra or Cialis. If you take a look at the history of Viagra, it was actually created based on the science of nitric oxide. They said, hey, nitric oxide is what delivers blood flow to organs in the body, all organs. And so what can we do to mimic that? So they made a synthetic version of a nitric oxide booster, okay? And that's what Viagra is. The problem is it does it synthetically, and there's a lot of oxidation. There's a lot of problems with long-term becoming dependent on it and possible damage if you just read the side effects. So why don't we just do it naturally? So let's talk about some of the foods that we recommend all the time to boost nitric oxide.
Okay, how about beets, arugula, berries, and one of your favorites, pomegranates?
Pomegranates, absolutely. Big fan of pomegranates.
Is that why you like pomegranates?
I don't know. I like pomegranates for a lot of reasons. So the most famous is beets, and it helps produce nitric oxide because it has food nitrates in it. It's foods that have a lot of food nitrates, the good nitrates. And so that's really popular, and it came because of the Olympics and with the Chinese that were all of a sudden performing better, and we found out it was because they were drinking beet juice. And that's really important. But arugula actually has higher amounts of nitrates. So that's the lettuce that some people put in their salads because they don't like the taste of it as much as the other lettuces.
I like arugula.
It's really
Doug
good.
Doesn't love arugula.
I eat it because nitric oxide. So beets, arugula, other greens, berries, huge on berries. Any berries. We personally like pomegranates a lot because some of the research on it to help also with testosterone and stuff in the body. So those are the foods. Supplements.
So there's a peptide, correct?
There's a peptide that does it too, and we really maybe let us know what your thoughts are on peptides. We could do a full, podcast one time on those if you want. But there's one that actually helps with sexual arousal, especially with women, that a lot of people are using nowadays to help just. It's like it's a secretagogue. It just helps stimulate the body's ability to then, produce those chemicals and stuff. So it's really good. But,
so let us know if you want to hear more about that.
Yeah, let us know if you want to hear.
Okay, so actual supplements, we're talking about arginine and creatine nitrate.
Those are the two biggies.
Okay.
Biggies. So there's two pathways to make nitric oxide. One's arginine. Mm-hmm. That's an amino acid. You can go out and get it. Doesn't taste good. Take it separately. But you can we use arginine every day. Mm-hmm. Every single day. Take it pre-workout. Take it before you go to bed. Huge fan of it. Creatine nitrate is probably the one that's the secret that most people don't know about. Creatine nitrate is a food nitrate bound to creatine, and it helps get in the system really quick to help create blood flow and help actually with your strength. So those are two nutrients that are really, really powerful. In fact, we have this thing at Optimal Health Systems. We call it the date night pack, and basically it's a NOS performance pack. It's a pack of capsules that have the arginine and the creatine nitrate in that in it, and then our chews, right? The BFF chews that you can chew that has creatine nitrate. And we just get a lot of compliments on the date night pack.
Let's move on.
All right, so you want to stimulate the endothelial system, right? That lining in the blood vessels. You can do it with nitrates. It boosts the body's nitric oxide because as we age, nitric oxide levels go down big time. And if you increase that with your foods, you're going to love life, all right? And so now let's talk about another one that's not maybe mentioned a lot. It's called interleukin-2. And interleukin-2 is a chemical. Again, we're talking about the pharmacy in your brain, the hypothalamus, and this is a really incredible prescription chemical that comes out called interleukin-2, and it's to help your body with its immune system. And so this one isn't talked about a lot because we don't worry about our immune system until we're sick, right?
Right.
And so it helps regulate, though, inflammation throughout the body. It helps with cell growth, so anti-aging.
So this is where probiotics come into play yet again.
Oh, huge. You see this recurring theme here?
Yeah, I sure do.
Yeah, so probiotics really are your second immune system. And one of my very first mentors, Dr. Shahani, really taught me this way back in the 90s that said, look, probiotics, taking care of the gut. If you take care of the gut and the health of the gut, your whole body will be healthy. How you think, how you feel. And this is absolutely right.
So
now
true.
The research is backing it up.
It's your second brain?
Yeah,
right?
Second brain, second immune system, 100%. That's a great way to look at it. And it wasn't even called the second brain until a few years ago because we learned a lot now in the research between the connection between the gut and the brain. And we'll go into that in another seminar or webinar that's really, really, really cool. Oh, we have podcasts. We just do seminars and webinars. Another podcast, if you ask. We could do a real deep dive into that. Okay. So this interleukin-2, the probiotics is big. Also, there's some foods, though.
Okay.
Right?
So berries again.
Berries again.
Veggies. Raw nuts.
Raw nuts is a big one for this one, too.
Okay.
All right. And so, again, the berries, the veggies.
It's really like everything is kind of circulating around the fatty acid nutrients
Right.
and the berries, whole food, probiotics. So we're really talking a lot about fatty acids and probiotics.
We really are.
All those foods.
And fatty acids, besides avocados, some of the things you like meat-wise.
For fat,
Yeah.
salmon.
Salmon, number one. I think
Yeah.
number one. Salmon's number one. So definitely have salmon once in a while in your plan for sure, because that gives great fatty acids. And
For
then
sure.
the avocados, the raw nuts have them that a lot of people don't talk about also. Okay,
Raw nuts, not roasted nuts.
100%. Let's finish up real quick. There's
Okay.
another one that I think is important that a lot of people don't talk about from the hypothalamus, that this prescription that comes from it, the chemical is called melatonin. Now, melatonin is known for
Sleep, relaxing.
Yep, sleep and relaxing.
Yeah.
That's what it's known for. And you don't sleep well without melatonin being produced from the brain. Your brain produces melatonin from the hypothalamus, and it stimulates another chemical to replace the caffeine that's in the receptors in the brain. So when the sun goes down, the caffeine should leave those receptors that are in the brain, and it should be replaced with a chemical that melatonin helps create, called adenosine. So we know that melatonin is important, and we need to make sure that we're giving the body the nutrients to produce melatonin. And it comes back to the same things. Berries, right? A lot of new studies out on like the pomegranates, the dark berries before sleep, avocados. So it's just same thing.
Cool.
And
Makes
also
it easy.
try not to eat too late.
Oh.
You want to get them digested. You don't want the body, if the body's having to digest food while you sleep, then it has a harder time producing the chemicals you need for sleep and to keep you in REM sleep so that your body will heal and repair.
I think that's one that you would constantly recommend to most people for most, ultimate living, right? Is to end your consumption of food, 2 to 3 hours before you're going to go to bed?
100%.
And there's a lot of reasons, right? I mean, there are so many reasons, but it can also assist with weight loss. It can also, when we're talking about cleaning out the cells and giving them a chance to recover and
yeah.
there's, yeah.
And so, also our good friend David Meltzer, is out he has this goal to help billions understand the importance of being grateful.
Yeah.
Right. And there was a study I read that talked about before you go to bed, speaking the things that you're grateful for, and it actually helps the body increase melatonin.
That's
so
cool.
Back to the thoughts. We're not talking about just food and nutrients and supplements and stuff. Really, the most important thing is your thoughts on every single one of these prescriptions from the hypothalamus, or these chemicals from the brain that affect you in a powerful way, is being grateful for before you go to bed, whether that be because of your prayers, because you journal, or whatever it is, right, will help the body switch over to that mode, produce melatonin, and help the body sleep. So don't forget about
if
that
we're
one.
talking about healthy sleep patterns and healthy sleep techniques, how about putting the phone away early? What do you think?
Huge. And,
Right.
the studies done with just getting light out of the room and extra sounds, those types of things has been really powerful. And the phone's a big one for a lot of reasons. So
A lot of reasons, because it's just so stimulatory, right?
100%.
It's
it's actually producing dopamine. The opposite we want. So let's do one more.
Okay.
As I know that we're just going for days with this one, but
I'm getting
we
we probably could go on for days.
So
you could probably go on for days.
This is a great one though.
Okay.
Growth hormone.
Ooh, I do like that one.
You do. We all like that
that
one. Growth hormone is the chemical that can be produced by the hypothalamus that as we quit growing in our 20s, it starts to slow down, but it's not supposed to completely go away. And most of the time it goes away, like it goes away to almost nothing in people way too soon because of our lifestyle.
Yeah, hence people going to their doctors for hormone therapy, right?
Yeah, because growth hormone, remember what it does, besides help you grow when you're young, is it stimulates the body's metabolism. It's what allows you to have a higher metabolism so you could eat more calories, you recover faster from exercise or a stressful day at work. Growth hormone is this awesome thing that's supposed to, as we age, start coming down, but it shouldn't be in our 20s, 30s, and 40s even. We should still be able to have good levels of growth hormone.
And until what age?
Really, it's the 50s or 60s that it's going to should start coming down in a way that you're like, man, I better really be on my game, because your body will really start losing a lot of muscle. Metabolism slows down. Your diet really needs to change at that point, unless you're just, training like a crazy person.
So when
life changes.
When we're talking about growth hormone, your exercise and lifting and sleep and nutrition become paramount, right?
Paramount.
Yeah.
Paramount. And that's a good point, is there's only really 3 times that growth hormone can be secreted in a large amount, let's say from 30, 35 and above, because of our lifestyle. So usually, say 30-year-olds and above, there's only 3 times. And I used to say 2, and I got corrected by the great Dr. Harris on this. But it's 1 right during anaerobic exercise, so strength training, right? So weightlifting. So you get that growth hormone spurt when you're weightlifting. Another reason to weightlift, right?
Love it.
And the other one's during REM sleep.
Okay.
So that's why I'm a big fan of taking like the creatine nitrates and the arginine before bed, because then you have those nutrients when your body can secrete growth hormone. And the other one, and this will definitely be a podcast in the future, is fasting.
Something that I have recently started a bit of, not intermittent fasting, but long-term fasting.
3-day fast.
So
we'll go into that. It was a game changer. We did blood work, and there was all kinds of crazy cool stuff that happened from that. And so we want growth hormone. The body can produce its own. As we get older, we have to be careful about, taking advantage of those 3 times. And so let's just let's talk real quick about the foods for growth hormone.
Okay.
And the nutrients. So basically the foods comes back to the same things we've mentioned, but let's just go over them.
Okay, I turned my page. Tell me.
That's okay. Well,
you're talking about berries, again, raw nuts, healthy protein, right?
That's another one that's big with this one, with growth hormone, that we haven't talked about. Healthy protein choices. So what are some healthy protein choices?
So healthy protein choices are your more lean choices. Oftentimes, Doug and I have talked about this. When we're talking about protein choices from animal sources, think about the activity of the animal. So the more active the animal, the better the meat from that animal, right?
That's it's a great way to look at it. I don't think that isn't talked about much. Yeah. That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah. So think about like a pig, and pig feels a bit lazy, right? So pork's not going to be great.
Cows are pretty lazy.
Cows seem a little bit lazy, not going to be great. So honestly, your best protein choices, the lean, like chicken breast. So white meat is always leaner than dark meat. So your chicken breast, your turkey, fish. What else? What am I missing?
Well, no, I think that's it. I think your chicken, turkey, fish.
On the opposite, not opposite, but also thinking about your, those of you that are hunters, game is pretty, right?
That's how we first started learning that the more active the animal was, the better the meat was.
Elk
if you're a
and
meat
deer.
Eater. Absolutely, because they're a lot more active. You still have the red meat. And why was so much healthier than the cow? Because of the laziness and the acidity that's built up.
So I think something that people misunderstand maybe about the lifestyle that we live and that we teach is that number one, we're against protein, which we are not. Doug obviously eats a lot less protein than I do. But we're just about the leaner choices of protein, the better, cleaner forms of protein. And one of the big reasons that red meat is such an issue, regardless of the fat content, which it is a lot higher, is the acidity. It's harder for the body to digest red meat. So we're all about digesting your food so that it can be utilized throughout the body where it needs to go.
Good point. And if you wonder what type of proteins are better for you and which ones are more acidic, find someone that has gout and ask them what proteins they can eat.
Sorry, Dad.
They're not hurting, and which ones do. They'll tell you that, if I eat pork or a lot of times shellfish, red meat, like rich red meat and stuff like that, then it flares up. That's the proteins you want to avoid, I think, a high majority, if not always. And when Hillary talks about I eat less protein, in all reality, I just try to eat a lot more of the plant-based proteins. I'm really big on lentils, really big on beans. So that's really a key factor, I think, for you to eat lean proteins when you can really understand the importance of getting some of the proteins in from natural sources of your vegetables, lentils, things like that. Okay? And so that's really key. And as far as the growth hormone supplements, it goes back to the same concept, the things that help produce nitric oxide in the body, nitric oxide also help with growth hormone. And number one is arginine. So arginine is really critical. So again, take arginine before bed, take arginine before the workout, that type of thing. And then the nitrates, like creatine nitrate in supplement form, but the nitrate containing foods, right? Your beets, berries, arugula, those things. So let's kind of bring it around. I mean, if you really think about it, we're talking about this pharmacy in the brain that's more powerful than all the other pharmacies, a lot cheaper prescriptions.
Because it produces the best chemicals.
The best chemicals, the pure ones.
Pure ones.
That's it. And you can call on it with your thoughts. You can call on it with your actions of being grateful and being nice to other people, and your body will release those. You can call on it by making sure the nutrients that are needed are there. You can call it by making sure the foods are there.
Absolutely.
And again, I know we're drilling this in, but think about what we said today. Which foods have we talked about over and over and over again?
Man, foods closest to nature.
Absolutely.
Right?
Vegetables, berries, nuts, lean proteins. That should be your diet.
It should be your diet.
Absolutely. And actually, we're a big fan of the right types of grains, too. And making sure that aren't genetically modified in that. So balance your body with the nutrients. Find out what nutrients you need. We're really big on data and doing things objectively, so like blood work and stuff, and that's great. A way to go about it. But either way, just make sure your nutrients are balanced. Get off the processed foods. We didn't talk a lot about the things that stop those chemicals in the brain from being secreted. And highly processed foods. Should we hit that really quick?
Really quick. So those fried foods, they're terrible. And the problem with the fried foods is we think that they're not that big of an issue. We think they're more of an issue, for heart disease and that kind of thing. But they truly affect the way that you think. They do, because it makes it harder for the good fats to get to the brain and help you think clearer.
That's a huge point. Remember, the brain, there's called a blood-brain barrier, and nutrients are taken in because the brain's such a special organ. And those fried fats they block the good fats that are supposed to help take in the nutrients to the brain. You can't overemphasize that enough. Is these bad foods, the fried fats, the bad fats that are called hydrogenated fats, look at your label. If it says hydrogenated, any type of
or
oil,
partially hydrogenated,
same concept, then stay away from them. Just get rid of anything that you have in your pantry or wherever.
Okay, that's a great task for today, because you like to leave everybody on something to do that you can do to improve your health right now today. So right now today, something that you can do to improve your health is get rid of the hydrogenated oils.
Yep, and look at your labels and see if it has it. Get rid of them, and don't eat fried foods is another great thing. And increase your vegetables, berries, raw nuts, and lean proteins.
And absolutely. And just as a little side note, I don't know that Doug's going to love this or not, but it doesn't mean that you can never have the fried food that you probably like. But for the short term, or until we get our health under control the way that we need to, eliminate it for a little bit. And then once you've hit kind of that point where you're really rolling in the optimal health feeling, well, you can have them every now and again, because guess what? They're not going to cause the harm if you're not eating them day in and day out.
The key is consistency. And so let's end with that. What you do consistently on a daily basis brings about your health. It's not your goals. It's not like I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to lose weight. None of that really is what determines your health. What determines your health is your habits that you do consistently on a daily basis. And if you can take anything from the FitFam podcast, it is that we want you to improve your daily habits of eating healthy foods, exercising, having a positive mindset. So when you have a bad day, when you eat those foods every once in a while, that it's not on the consistent basis, and your kidneys and your liver and the systems of your body detoxify, does their job, and you go on your way.
And when you do actually need a prescription for something, you can take that prescription and your body can heal after that prescription.
So much faster. Right? Absolutely, because all prescriptions take nutrients out of the body, and they can cause depletion. If those nutrients are there, if you have to take a prescription, it'll make it so that it works better. You'll be able to get off and get back going again. And so stay fit, fams.
This is Doug, the Formulator.
And Hillary, Natural Miss Olympia. Keep
See you
chilling.
next time.